Welcome to AIW Empowers Interview Series. I'm so happy to welcome our guest today, Ofri Hirsch. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Hi. Hi, everyone. How are you?
Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's jump right in. Let's talk about your journey. Can you describe your current job?
Yeah, I own Asheville Mountain Kitchen. We offer cooking classes and corporate team building events, cooking competition, and so forth. Um, yeah.
So that sounds really interesting. I'm going to have a lot of questions, but before we do that, let's travel way back to the start of your career. How did it start and how did you get here?
Okay. Yeah. So I could say that I have been cooking since I remember myself. So from a very young age, and I always loved cooking. But it's always kind of being my go-to job along the way when I was a student and just throughout my young adult and adult life. But I never thought of it as a career. Um, and I studied landscape architecture and urban planning. I moved to the United States in 2004 to go to Harvard Graduate School of Design. And 2 years after I graduated, the recession hit, and I lost my job and I started cooking professionally. Although I have never been to culinary school, but I started a personal chef business and then um, sort of specialized in helping people who have special dietary needs, therapeutic diets, etc. Based on my own personal experience of chronic illness since I'm 16 years old, and the power that food has in healing. So that's kind of what led me. So I still do health coaching online, and I run Asheville Mountain Kitchen with in-person events.
In-person events, and you also mentioned cooking competitions. So how did you get into those?
So I moved to Asheville almost 9 years ago, and I actually didn't know what to expect, Asheville, North Carolina. And I worked in my profession. I worked with a landscape architect, and we designed residential developments and consulted developers. Um, and the house we bought had this amazing kitchen, really, really big and like perfect for hosting groups. And I thought, I'll just offer some cooking classes. Like I offered a cooking class once a month. It was very, um, uncommitted, kind of like very part-time. And I started getting asked. Just I built a website. I love doing all the website stuff and just, graphic design and even some programming. And people started asking me, do you do team building? And I never even knew what it was because I never worked for a company that did that. I didn't know it existed. And I said, yeah, sure, and I started doing it kind of just based on my own experience, bringing some of my design education into it and just creating my own version of it that people really liked. So, yeah, that's how I got into that.
That's so fun. Um, Now, before we continue going on the fun side of the questions, we're gonna take a little dive into, the not so fun part. Can you tell us about some mistakes that you made earlier on in your career?
Mistakes. I guess I was when I when I finished my undergraduate, I had a professional degree, so I got a job in landscape architecture and I kept changing offices quite a bit. I was very unhappy practicing the profession, and I kept thinking a new office will be better. But like slowly I realized that it's all the same, and that's what it is. And maybe it's just not a good fit for me. So then the idea of going to graduate school actually came from one of my colleagues, and he connected me to someone who was trying to get more students to the United States to study um, at Harvard or MIT, and he was getting a scholarship together. because I never even thought of doing a master's degree. I always thought, what else? Maybe I should study something else. So then once that opportunity opened up, I thought, okay, I'll go into academia and teach because I love teaching. But then I discovered the world of academia and it's all its unglamour. I saw all the problems of being an academic and really didn't think it was for me at all. I did do it as an adjunct for a few years, but I didn't want to pursue that full time. And yeah, so that's how it all unraveled.
Okay. Do you do you feel like there's a weakness that you have that has impacted your career? It could be in a good way or in a bad way, but is there something that you feel like you needed to either work on or get past?
Well, the nature of my work, there's not a lot of repetition. There's some, but
Mm.
I work with companies that come here and next year they might go to Chicago. I mean, they don't come here all the time. So I kind of always have to prove myself. There's a little bit of continuity, but otherwise it's a little bit hard. So I find the marketing, just ongoing marketing, expensive and challenging, definitely. And yeah, so.
How do you deal with these, companies coming and going and constantly having to market to new companies or returning companies and keeping that going as opposed to being settled? How have you found like a process that you work with or I guess gotten comfortable with that?
Yeah, I guess, I rely on my website and also on event planners that are local and have worked with me before. So they're the constant referral system.
Okay.
And also I've been doing it for quite a while. So I do get companies, like sometimes individuals who've taken my classes will recommend that to their company. I had quite a few lately like that. Um, yeah, but I mean, I definitely sort of, you know, thinking of what else could I add that's more constant so I don't have to be on edge all the time.
Hmm.
I don't like that part. Like, I think if I had something easy that I did on the side, like 20 hours a week, plus, because my business is part-time, it is great. I mean, I have a good income from it, but I'm always like worried, even though at the end of the year it's all fine. But it's just, you get calls and you don't get calls. It's like you have
Yeah.
to have a certain personality for that to not be stressed.
Yeah.
And also just I like to work, I like my work. I want to be busy.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely been thinking which way should I go and that, and there's a few options.
And I guess it's a big part of the job, the networking and building up your reputation, right? If it's
Mhm,
um recommendations and the party and event planners, because
mhm.
they would tend to get the call first for big events. Is that
Yeah,
correct? Yeah.
yes. So yeah, moving downtown definitely enables me to have larger events, which I moved like 3 months ago.
Okay.
But the problem is that we're in Asheville and there are so many attractions here and so much to do that it's a really big competition.
Okay.
And I thought of maybe advertising myself in other cities and I could go there and just rent a space and do events, but it's like a lot for me. So
Hmm.
yeah,
That would mean expanding, right?
yeah, expanding and yeah, I'm really, yeah, I like that it's a fairly easy business for me right now and I'm not looking to complicate my
Mm.
life.
Hmm. Yeah, I can imagine. Um, Last question on this, more somber side. Um, is there a career setback that you faced that you later realize was actually an advantage?
Yeah, I mean, I was let go and in 2006, no, 8, sorry. And then I basically went into the cooking thing, which is really what I love to do. But I never saw myself in a restaurant or, worked for catering, and I hate catering for so many reasons. And I mean, I enjoyed personal chef, but it's kind of limited. And then this whole thing formed, which I didn't even think of, or
Hmm.
knew about. Yeah.
It's kind of filling a gap like as needed, right? Like you needed something, this was obviously missing from the
Yes.
city. There was a want for it. So it's interesting how life happens sometimes. Um,
Hmm.
when you thought about cooking previously, what did you have in mind? Or did you have something in mind and then, this happened, which is different, but were you picturing something or just completely ruling it out?
Um, I never thought of going to culinary school. I come from like super educated family, and that was never like an option. Even though I worked in restaurants and I was told that I could already work as a chef, just because I've been doing it my whole life, really, since
Hmm.
I'm like 4 years old. I love cooking. I cooked for my family, and like I always cooked. And um, yeah, it was never an option to go to culinary school. Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
yes.
well, I was going to say something. I can't remember you were asking, but did I answer your question, or
Yeah, you
I completely
did.
lost my, yeah.
And I think it's something that's it's common enough, right? That
Mhm.
you understand from a certain age that certain things are not options or are not gonna bring you either the
Yeah.
necessities that you want in life or meet certain goals that other people have. And it's unfortunate because oftentimes later on in life we realize like, oh, this is what I want. And I mean, I'm really happy for you that
Mhm.
you got to get there. I'm sure it was
Mhm.
frustrating at times.
Yeah. Yeah, this business really grew very slowly from the ground up, and
Mhm.
like for a while I was working in my profession as well. So this was just a side thing, and I didn't take it too seriously. But once I jumped in full time, that's, already a different thing. But
Yeah.
I really started because I wanted to teach people different cuisines that I knew, like international, more exotic cuisines, because
Mhm.
I feel like you can find, Southern food here, certain type of things, but there's a lot of things that you don't see here. And I don't know, I find it very interesting. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to teach other, really, that's what it was all about. And it wasn't a business at all at the beginning, it was
Hmm.
just, um, and I do regret a little bit, like my classes would get crazy busy, like crazy. And I'm very bad at saying no. And then they would get too busy. And I feel like that damaged my business a little bit, that I would let too many people in. That I should have been more strict about it.
I'm sure it's hard when you're trying to impart knowledge. It's something you enjoy, so you want as many people to enjoy
Yeah, I hate
it as
saying
well.
no. Yeah,
Yeah.
and people like, oh, please, just two more, just this. And yeah, and it was a lot.
Yeah. I imagine. And going back to something you said just a few minutes ago, with at first you were still working in your field and now in your new field and you were doing both. How did you manage your time? How was it balancing a full-time job and this
It was
part-time
hard.
passion?
Yeah. So it wasn't really a full time. Um, I was, I guess, more of like a freelance. I mean, I worked with this other architect. Um, I, he just gave me certain project that, so each week was different, different amount of hours. But it was really busy, and at some point I got crazy busy, and which is why I decided to choose one over
Mhm.
the other. And my son was very young at the time too, and I found that I was getting very impatient with him in the morning, like. getting him ready for school and like rushing him. And I thought it's not really worth it. What am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so living one of those jobs really helped me just have more time. And I build it now that it is a six-figure business. Um, and I don't work that much. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I only work like 2 days a week, maybe.
That's really great. That's a good success.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's all good, but I always want more. My husband said I'm never satisfied. But it's like I have a lot of time and there's a lot of directions I could take this to, and I'm just trying to figure out which one I want to go, which
Mm-hmm.
direction.
It's always like which one first, and it's
Yes.
it's what happens with when you have ambition and passion. Like it's just you hit a goal and it's like great, and then what's the next goal? You
Yeah.
know, you need to set
And
something
and
else.
people have a lot to offer. Like I feel like I have a lot to offer in different ways. And I don't know, like, yeah, I want to do more with that, but yeah, can't do everything. I tend to
Yeah.
spread maybe too thin, like I'm not as focused.
Mm.
So
It's
many people
difficult when
say
you
to
have to.
me, you should have products, and like I'm not interested in doing products like, dressings or whatever. Like,
Right.
yeah,
It's choosing the right things as well, right? Like people have
mhm,
ideas that I'm sure they're excited about, but it's just not where you want to go or not where you want to go first.
yeah.
Um, with the success of your business that Waits developed, what would you consider your biggest success factor as a person?
And in terms of this business, you mean, in
In terms of
relation
your
to that?
career, in terms of this business, in terms of, how you approach your
I
career.
think that, yeah, I mean, I'm doing something I enjoy very much, and I'm working part-time and have time for my family while bringing in income. Like I think
Hmm.
that's, to me, the combination of all of that is a success. It's never to me just about the money or anything, but I do believe that anybody in this world should be a productive member of society. Like, I would not want to just rely on my husband. Like, I would
Hmm.
not, this is not me at all. I just have to feel that I can do things, and
Hmm.
and create, you know. Um, yeah, to me that's super important. And yeah, the idea that it's all kind of balanced uh, is great. To me, that's a success. And
Hmm.
it's very simple to operate, because it's quickly any business, you can overcomplicate it. And
Yeah.
just using my experience and my husband's experience, we always go back to, like, he always reminds me just to keep it simple. You don't need a million people working for you. You don't need high overhead. You don't need all that stuff. Like, there's so many ways to do stuff today that,
Hmm.
you can just do it yourself. Managing people is really hard. Managing products and SKUs and inventory is really challenging. Supply chain is really tough. I mean, all that stuff. Like, if you eliminate, like, every employee you have is like 10 times the headache. So people think, oh yeah, they're going to do the work for me, but it's not really how it works. It creates more work for you.
Yeah, you're adding a whole different set of responsibilities when you take on staff.
Mm.
And you
Yeah.
mentioned like products and whatnot. And if you were to sell your own, then you have to add quality assurance to it and make sure that it's up to the standards that your recipes are and everything else. So um, I can imagine all the complications going along with those.
Hmm.
And seeing as, along what we're talking about and how you mentioned that there's different directions that you're thinking about, what you would want to take on, where to go next. I'm going to ask you maybe a difficult question. Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, that's the thing I'm thinking. So I have work filming two TV shows. One I'm part of, and one is just my TV show. Um, and it's going to be it will be aired on USA Today and a channel called Local Now
Mm-hmm.
next year. And it's a cooking show. Both of those are cooking shows featuring like this area, farms from here, and just different. The other show is about diversity, just chefs from different backgrounds. Each one's making one dish. Um, so yeah, it's a question of like, where would this TV show take me, or where would I want it to
Mm-hmm.
take me? You know, and I'm less drawn to the Martha Stewart model. Um, it's not really for me. Um, so yeah, I have other ways and thoughts, and just yeah, I want to write a book, and I'm not sure what to write it about, like how to do it. Just too many ideas, not too many. Yeah,
That's
that's the problem.
that's a good problem to have, though. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah,
Just for the audience, because I'm going to share your information, your website, all of those things.
sure.
Once the episodes of the TV shows have aired, will you be linking those to your website?
Yeah, sure.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Just so people
yeah,
could know where to check those out, because I know I will. So I'm
yeah,
sure a lot
sure.
of people will
Yeah,
want
we'll
to.
probably have them on YouTube and different platforms.
Okay, amazing. Well, that moves me to my next question, which, maybe along the same lines, is what are your long-term goals for you, or for you as a person, past the 5 to 10 years? It could be career, personal, whatnot. What are your long-term goals?
So there are a lot of things I'd like to do around what I do. I mean, we part of what I mentioned that I moved the business location downtown. We're collaborating with a nonprofit, and we'll be teaching healthy cooking classes for low income people.
Oh, interesting.
So I really would like to pursue the education thing and really reach more people, and just teach people that cooking good food, healthy food is not that hard, and it's such an amazing life skill. That's really my message.
Mhm.
And I meet so many young people who don't cook at all, and it's so expensive to eat out now.
Yeah.
And you're not eating good food, also. The autoimmune disease is through the roof. People are sick, people are sick. Our food systems are broken. Like I said, I do health coaching. I help people overcome autoimmune disease, just like I did for myself. Um, but I'm not sure how much of that I want to take on, as much as just more vast audience and reach out with that knowledge. Um, Less working one-on-one and more
Yeah.
larger audience. And then also have a dream of I feel like so many kitchens are disappearing, cuisines are disappearing
Yeah.
because people don't spend all day in the kitchen. Like I have a friend who married someone from northern India, and we want to go and document his mom's cooking. So like do some kind of show maybe on that. Like if I
Yeah.
dream big, like like Anthony Bourdain, he did chefs. He featured
Hmm.
chefs around the world, but I want to feature grandmas and home cooks, because I feel like that stuff it's like a treasure that's disappearing, that I want to
Hmm.
capture and hold on to, because so much knowledge there, both health and just culinary knowledge.
Right.
But there is a lot of it is related to health, because they've incorporated that into their lifestyle and into the food.
Hmm.
So many, herbs and spices that promote health. Yeah.
That sounds amazing. And
Yeah. So that's what I'd like. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but
I'm sure there would be interest, because that sounds cool. Like there's a restaurant, I believe, in New York where they get local grandmothers to come and cook. And they have different ones,
that's
and
right.
I heard it's very busy. And so
Yeah.
there's interest there for sure. Uh,
hmm
can I ask if, as you're talking about educating on healthy cooking and perhaps for lower income and whatnot, Is there a common mistake that you see that people make when cooking healthy food, or maybe myths that they have and so they're not cooking with those foods?
And yes, so many. I think mostly a lot of people don't understand vegetables or like different types of vegetables and how to get the most out of them,
Mm-hmm.
and then they end up not liking it, but that's because it's not really cooked well.
Okay.
Um, I find that common. And, I think in general, understanding this concept of caramelization that happens in food, in basically every food, every product, that really helps add flavor. A lot of people either don't use high heat enough, high enough heat, or they add liquids too soon, and you're not getting that caramelization. Or they're adding too much liquid when they're braising, for example, when you cook something in liquid, that
Okay.
becomes like the ocean, instead of, what I mean, make a sauce that's thick and rich, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Things like that, I think. Just like being scared of the stove a little. People are
Yeah,
intimidated. So like you have to not be scared and use the heat to your advantage.
right.
I tell people often, like I either use really high heat or really low heat. There's not a lot in between. There's some with French cooking, yes, you saute on kind of low medium heat, but a lot of times you want to start the cooking by charring something, you know, that kind of thing to get that caramelization.
Okay. Interesting. Now I'm thinking about what do I do? And I'm sure I'm not doing the right thing. Okay, I had no idea about the heat stuff. That's really interesting. Um,
Mhm.
and you must have a lot of those kinds of questions. Because you didn't go to culinary school. Um, and given the idea that you have about perhaps talking to home cooks and grandmothers and whatnot, I'm very interesting to see, like, especially doing what you're doing and the different ways that you might see your business going in. If someone were to ask you, how do I do this? What would you recommend to them in terms of education, in terms of experience, whether it be paid or unpaid?
Well, I think you have to like to love cooking, obviously. I don't think you can teach that. Um, and I think, you just start small. You just, let's say, create a class or something you know how to do and
Mm.
see, teach people that, and then you can add more, you know. That's what I think.
And, we talked about networking before. How important was networking at the very beginning? Is that something that someone who's interested in getting started should be really involved in a community um, with similar
Um,
businesses, or start to make contacts with those in the industry? We talked about event planners.
yeah, networking, I try to do that as much as I can. And it's fun too, but it could be extremely time consuming.
Mm,
And I feel like with the internet, if you have a good website, that could save you a lot of time,
right.
networking. It's really time consuming, and like with my son, and a lot of events are in the evening or early morning, like two of my busiest time. I couldn't go to a lot of that, and I did fine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think if you work in a restaurant, I don't know how much you're going to learn. I mean, it all depends. I teach more home cooking, so working in a restaurant would not help me at all.
Mm.
Um, yeah,
A different clientele, right?
yeah, I have all different, yeah,
Yeah.
companies and people, individuals. Yeah, the best thing about my work is I get to meet a lot of people in a very superficial way, which is nice, like without getting into anything complicated.
Yeah. It must be interesting too, because you meet a lot of different people, but then you also have almost not a turnover, but it's like the door keeps opening and then you meet a whole set of new
Yeah,
people.
and
So
in a way, I
it's
network through my work.
Yeah.
When I used to do design, I actually had a client who did events with me and hired me to do the design
Oh,
also. Like I did both with the same client.
that's really
They
cool to see what they done.
overlapped. Yeah. But it's a great way to network. I've created a lot of relationships just from my work. I
Yeah.
feel like the world is coming to me because I used to live all over the world and traveled so much. And now I'm kind of more stable. My son goes to school. I mean, we have to be around, and I feel like the world's coming to me instead. I
Mhm.
get very international groups sometimes. Last week, I had a very international group. It was fun.
That's really interesting. Are you able to tell us about um one of your projects or clients, without naming any names or anything, but just to give the audience an idea of what you had to do to prepare?
Yeah, sure. I have a group of 30 people coming tomorrow. I actually have two groups tomorrow, but not tomorrow, on Wednesday, sorry. Um, and one of them is 30 people, and they're actually a food company. They make food products. So they send me big boxes of their products, and they want people to incorporate that into the cooking. So it's more of
Interesting.
a team building event. We created a menu, but then we give them options so they could take the dishes. So we divide the 30 people into 5 groups, and each group makes one or two dishes.
Hmm.
Um, and sometimes like one group might make potato salad, this and a salad and a green salad, and another group will make potato salad and meat, or like there's overlaps. But they can take it any way they would like. Like we offer them herbs and sauces and just different options, and they don't have to follow the recipe. They can just do whatever they like to do, so they can get creative and do teamwork. Um, yeah, and just have everyone hands-on, really interactive. So that's like a team building, and you could do it as a competition or just an event. And then the other stuff I do is just cooking classes, so they choose a menu, and I teach them how to cook it.
That's so
And
fun. So when you have those team building events, even the classes, whether or not it's a competition, does everyone get to taste each other's food?
yeah, then we eat. You always eat at the end of every
Okay.
event. Yeah, so we have like a buffet style meal, like all you can eat. There's always a lot of food. And then with the cooking classes, I also like I don't have recipes on the table. We do the cooking more to understand the different processes that occur, and like I said, the caramelization and many other things. So I'm kind of against providing recipes right up front, but then I email them recipes after the class. The
Okay.
idea is to really sort of be involved in the class and not read a recipe. It's not about the recipes.
Hmm.
So
Ha has anyone ever made something that completely surprised you?
yeah, sometimes like especially with the international groups, like when we do cooking competitions, they really surprise me because people from different backgrounds. Um, yeah,
So they make something, I guess, not expected. Like, yeah.
yeah. Just like yeah, like I had Chinese people, and like from China, like this international group. Like they just yeah, it was really delicious. Nothing ever, people like a lot of times tell me, we didn't think there'll be anything edible at the end of this. Like they don't trust their colleagues.
Yeah.
But it's always really good. Like there's never, like I make sure that people don't do silly things.
Yeah.
I catch it before it happens.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I'm
So
sure there'd be some jokers in there that are
yeah,
trying.
yeah. People like to
Yeah.
brag and this and and a lot of guys, they like to say, oh, I'm a really good cook. And then I found out that like, know nothing about stuff, like really basic stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. The usual
Um,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, it's always fun. People tease each other. And then some events I like to bring in my design background. So I tell them like I have different exercises, but for example, I give them ingredients and then they have to create a dish for an entity. So they have to design the dish for either a person or it could be the year 2023 or it could be New York City, whatever entity they choose. They just have to explain
Hmm.
why this dish is for that entity, you know, how are they dedicating it, what's in it, how they structured it. So it creates a lot of discussion within the team, and it's just a great way to just express, anything really within the company. So if
Hmm.
there's, it's not for everybody, but some companies really love that. Yeah,
That sounds fun. Because I've never heard um of these kinds of activities for business doing team building or whatever else. And it's different in the sense that when you're used to corporate life or working for government or whatnot, you don't see a lot of that, but it would be so fun and you get to learn something, but at the same, and everyone gets to eat, everyone loves to eat
yeah,
at these events, right?
yeah.
So
It's definitely the most inclusive like team building
yeah,
activity. Yeah. Like, if you compare it to rafting or zip line and all that stuff people do,
yeah.
um, this includes everyone, whether
Mhm.
they might have a disability or anything, they just it's for any age too. I mean, it's
Yeah,
inclusive in that way. Like we could have a 4-year-old and we can have a 90-year-old here and we'll find something to do.
right.
So or if you like to cook or if you don't like to cook, like, and I have a neighbor who's a CEO and he never cooks. His wife makes all the food and he went to one event like that, not mine, a different one. And he says he was surprised how much fun it was, even though he never cooks, but I think it's a different situation because you cook together with people. It's just
Yeah,
something like we used to do that a long time ago. So it's like we have it in our DNA, like this collaboration and it's really fun.
so it's kind of like changing the mindset as opposed to seeing it as a chore, seeing it
Exactly.
more as a fun activity or a hobby.
Yeah. I mean, the events are different because I have everything ready, they don't have to clean. I mean, it's like the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, I look at cooking sometimes as a chore, but mostly I enjoy it. But of course, when you have to cook every day for like a big family, it can be very hard.
Hmm.
I can relate to that.
I can imagine. Is there, I'm sure you have colleagues in the industry and other people um, you know, who may do something close to what you do or similar or related. Do you find or do you know of any common reasons why people would leave this field?
Like I said, there's no stability really,
Mm.
like there's quite a bit of competition here in this town. There's a new woman who opened a little cooking thing, and then it's another guy who has a small place. Mine is the largest, so it's the only one for really big groups. Um, yeah, and I think anything could be, you can get tired of doing, anything that you do a lot, people can. And it's also physically hard.
It
I do hire help to clean up and stuff, but it is hard.
Do you find that the demands on your body can be a challenge? So I imagine you must spend a lot of time on your feet.
Yeah, but because I don't work every day, I recover, like, but it is days like on Wednesday, I have two groups. I have one at 11 to 2 and one from 5 to 8. That's a
Mhm.
lot. That would take me like 2 days to recover. I go to a chiropractor. I try to look after myself. I exercise. And I do like physical work. I really do. I grew up on a farm and I like that type of work.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard sitting in front of a screen too, it's just different kind of hard. And it's
It
hard on
is.
your body in a way too.
It is. Everything's kind of it needs a counterbalance, whether it's sitting all the time or standing all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But there's something nice about it. It's very hectic at the events. Bang, 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 but the time just flies, and then it's
Yeah.
over all of a sudden, so it's nice. Like I went to the bank this morning and I thought, oh my God, I could not do that. Like they're just sitting there staring at the walls, you know?
Yeah.
The time just doesn't pass.
Completely different reality.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
stable, and some people, you know.
It is. And do you find that there are things now that you wish you had known when you first started this business?
Mm, no, no, not really. But I have slight regret that I gave up my architectural practice because now that my son is older, I can do both maybe more, like add that just as something to give me the extra stability. But I gave up like my license and my insurance, and I didn't want to keep it up. So slight regret for that. And like I said, like starting over, I have to network, I have to market it. It's a lot. So, but I'm trying to think, what else. And with the TV show, no one knows like whether that's going to lead. So trying to
Absolutely.
overcommit right now and just think,
That's
where do I want to go, like and just go where I want to go rather than be led by fear of like, income.
mm-hmm.
Because I do fine, it's not, it's plenty of money for me to live on.
And that kind of brings me to my next question, but you may have just answered it then. So I'm gonna combine those. If you were to decide to leave, um, the cooking industry and just not have your business, or the world changes, it's no longer an option for you to have this business, to have this career. Do you think you would go back to landscape architecture, or do you think you'd pursue something else?
Probably not, but I don't know for sure. Um, like I said, this whole like what I do with food and design in my events,
Mm-hmm.
I've been able to do that also on Zoom, and I've had some demand from other companies to do that creative process.
Okay.
So like I could make that into a career as well, like really develop that. Or I could build my health coaching. I was even thinking of getting maybe a part-time job as a software developer. I could do that. I never studied it, but it just comes, I don't know, I'm good at it for some
Yeah.
reason. Like I've done a lot of it and I enjoy it. Like I could add something that I could take with me, that if we decide to move or like it's a small, yeah, because
You know,
landscape architecture is very domestic. It's like not
okay.
domestic, I mean, it's here, like, it's, it's not virtual.
It's And it's interesting how you've been able to combine it with cooking though, and what you do with food. It's kind of like meeting the best of both worlds. But it's amazing that that's even developed you other options, and then you have other interests as well that are options. Um,
I think once you start doing something, things develop out of that, unless you're just a
yeah.
very person like that, who just taught a task and just does it repeatedly. But I don't, I think most people, they start having other things branch out,
Hmm.
from that.
Absolutely. And the TV show, that's then you're going to learn about, that industry and what goes on behind the scenes. So I'm sure you'll develop other areas of interest
Yeah.
and pick up new skills there too. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next 5 to 10 years. I
Trying
think
to
it's going to
this.
be great things.
Maybe you can help me decide, because do I write a book about design thinking and the food thing that I do, or do I write a book about my recovery from autoimmune and recipes and things like that? Or maybe I just write a simple cookbook. It's hard for me to just do the obvious thing. I don't know why, which is the
They,
cookbook, which,
they all sound really good, and I mean, I'm no expert, but they always say like write what you know. It's always the easiest way to start.
yes,
And your story is
yes, it's
interesting.
easy. Yes,
It's a
it's
good place
easy.
it comes from here.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's personal. Yeah, yeah, you're right.
Hmm.
It's probably the easier one to start with and then maybe do something else. Yeah.
Yeah, you can always branch out. It's exciting. I'm very excited for you.
Thank you.
And I have one, purely nosy question.
Sure.
And
No, it's okay.
before
I love gossip.
before we wrap it up, I would love to know what is your favorite dish to cook?
Mm.
I'm also
People always
hungry,
ask
so
me that.
know.
Yeah. Oh, okay. People
No, but
always ask me.
I'm curious what your preference is. If you got to cook just one thing, what would you do?
Um, I would say like my last meal, like I'm
Mm.
going on the electric chair or something, will be um like spaghetti arrabbiata, like
Oh,
spicy tomato sauce. I love that.
ah.
But but I think I love cooking curries, different curries, like exploring spices and like I think
Hmm.
that's like I admire a good curry, like really well crafted curry. It's hard to do. I mean, it's in a way easy, but it's hard to do it really well.
Hmm.
It's got a lot of ingredients. Oh.
Right.
Mhm.
And I'm sure, unlike me, you're not talking about store-bought sauce. I'm sure everything
Yeah.
is from scratch. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Well, that
Yeah.
sounds absolutely lovely.
Did I make you hungry? Yeah, you would
I
eat
am
that.
very hungry. I am very hungry. I had a really, really early lunch because of meetings. So no, I'm hungry. Um, Ofri, I want to thank you so much for joining me today and giving all this information on your work and your business and everything that goes into it. And now I think like everyone's really excited to catch your TV episodes and see what kind of book you come out. But before I let you go, I would love to give you the floor. Um, and if you could provide some advice for anyone who's either interested in doing anything like you do, who someone who's already, on the path, if you give them some advice to leave them with.
Yeah, I think if you're a foodie and a cook, I think you can always find a way to make a living. And I think you have to find you have to find what works for you. But I think the best way is just to start with something. And then I'm a big believer that, you have to just jump right in, and then you'll figure out marketing. You just have to start, you know. I went to a car dealership the other day, and these people work really long hours and they work on weekends. I thought you could just walk into that car dealership and say, "Who wants a quality, healthy lunch?" And there's like that dealership, there's nothing around there. There's no place to get lunch. They have to go drive to a supermarket. I mean, you'll be saving them time, and time is money. You just walk in there and I'm sure you get out with like 25 orders. I was just thinking about, I don't need to do that kind of stuff anymore, but I was just had that thought the other day. People are always hungry, and you can just go think of who does not have, who needs something simple, something that, you know. So I think you just have to start. Just the first thing that looks simple to you, you start there. Um, and you go from there, and you just have to start, not think of the whole system. That's my approach. I know a lot of coaches teach you entire systems. I think it's the only way to know your business is to do it. And my business here in Asheville will be different even if you did the same thing in Chicago. It's going to be totally different. Or if you did it in another location. They even say restaurants, there's a local flavor, there's a local demand. You really need to know your market really well. And the only way you're going to know it is by starting and then making changes and making mistakes. And that's fine. There's always more people, like it's not, you made a mistake. Okay, it happens.
Absolutely. Just start. It's a great advice.
Exactly. You got to start. And you might not be teaching classes, but you start cooking for people or you start this and then I mean, you could start something to do with
Mhm.
food if you love food. Or I don't know.
Absolutely.
If you like to write, you want to write a book, but you could start by writing a column somewhere or a blog or be a guest on someone's blog or like there's a lot of ways to start.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great advice. Thank you so much, Ofri. It was such a pleasure having you. And to the audience, looking forward, I'm sure, to hearing
Thank you
more
so
from you.
much for letting me be on your podcast. I really appreciate that. And I wish you good luck. And I can't wait to listen to all your episodes.
Thank you so much. And it's absolutely my pleasure.
Thank you. Bye.